When my wife served me divorce papers, her lawyer's note was brutal. "We know about all your accounts, properties, and investments. Don't even think about hiding assets." They were thorough, I'll give them that, but they missed the most important transfer of all, the one I'd made the day after our wedding. My name is Robert Hamilton. I'm 45 years old. I married Jessica 8 years ago. I'm a successful real estate developer. Jessica had always loved the luxury lifestyle. When I first met her at that trendy LA cafe, she was sipping her latte with sunlight hitting her hair. She was 32, working in interior design. Business was booming back then. My real estate development company, Hamilton Properties, handled high-end projects. Luxury apartments in Beverly Hills, villas in Malibu. Money had never been an issue in my life. Meeting Jessica was very romantic. We met at a dinner party organized by mutual friends. We talked for hours that night. She told me I was different, that most men only talked about their money. Our first year was like a fairy tale. Jessica was genuinely intelligent and witty. We traveled to Europe together, went to Broadway shows, did wine tastings in Napa Valley. Everything was perfect. I proposed in 2016. On Santa Monica Beach at sunset, very classic, but Jessica loved classic things, with a 4-carat diamond ring. When she screamed yes, she was so happy that tears poured down her face. Our wedding was held at Montage, Beverly Hills. 200 guests, outdoor ceremony, everything perfect. Jessica looked like a princess that day. I felt like the luckiest man in the world. The day after the wedding, I had a meeting with my lawyer, Michael Chen, about estate planning. As a married man, I needed to update my legal affairs. Michael told me marriage was a big change, that there were things I needed to consider regarding asset protection. He suggested setting up a trust, both tax advantages and protection for the future family. I was very romantic and idealistic then. I wanted to establish a family trust for Jessica, called Future Family Trust, for our future children. Jessica and our future children would be beneficiaries, but I would be the trustee. I thought it would be a surprise for Jessica. Michael hesitated a bit. This was a large amount, $3.2 million. He asked if I was sure. "I'm sure, this is for her, proof of my love," I said. That day I transferred $3.2 million to the Future Family Trust, in Jessica's name, but under my control. I would wait to surprise her with it. I never told her. The first 2 years we were truly happy. Jessica focused on home decoration. I focused on expanding my business. In 2018, I started a big project in Westwood, $50 million mixed-use development. Jessica would come to all social events, playing the perfect wife role. But in 2020, things started changing. During COVID, spending more time at home, I began seeing Jessica's true face. Constant online shopping, expensive spa appointments, constantly going to luxury restaurants with friends. The pandemic changed everything for everyone, but Jessica seemed to view it as an opportunity to spend more. While other businesses struggled, she increased her shopping habits. Designer handbags arrived weekly, jewelry purchases became monthly events. In 2021, things got worse. Jessica said she was focusing on finding herself. Yoga classes, meditation retreats, personal trainer, a guy named Ryan Lopez. 28 years old, typical LA fitness trainer. Bronze skin, perfect body, always smiling type. When he first came, he was giving Jessica private training in our home gym. Jessica said he was very professional, truly motivating. Initially, it seemed normal. He came 3 times a week, worked with Jessica for an hour, but then it increased to 5 times a week, then daily. When I asked if so much training was necessary, Jessica said I wouldn't understand, that this was for her mental health. I started getting suspicious at the beginning of 2022. Jessica's phone was constantly ringing, but she'd always go to another room to talk. She said it was scheduling with Ryan. One day when I came home early, I found them in the pool house too close. They definitely weren't exercising. I turned around without knocking. That evening I didn't say anything to Jessica, but I started making plans. Over the following weeks, I watched Jessica. They weren't just meeting here, but other places too. Lunches at Beverly Hills Hotel, beach walks in Malibu. One day I saw Jessica had left her phone charging. I knew her password, our wedding date. Very ironic. Her messages with Ryan were unbelievable. Not just an affair, they were making plans. Jessica was calculating how much they'd get when she divorced Robert. Even worse, Ryan had written that he'd talked with Tom. They'd planned everything. Robert would lose most of his money. Tom, Jessica's brother Tom, he was in on this too. That night I couldn't sleep at all. Was our 8-year marriage just for money? In the morning I called my lawyer Michael and arranged an urgent meeting. Michael referred me to Patricia Hartwell, one of LA's best divorce attorneys. In our first meeting, Patricia said we needed to create an asset protection strategy. If they were making plans, we needed to make them too. I told her about the future family trust. Patricia's face changed. She asked if this was brilliant, whether Jessica knew about it. I said I'd never told her, it was going to be a surprise. Patricia said this surprise would save me. Over the next 2 weeks, I prepared very carefully. I planned the strategy with Patricia. I continued acting normal with Jessica. One Friday evening, Jessica had prepared a romantic dinner for me. She said there was something she needed to discuss with me. She said she was unhappy. The marriage wasn't working. She wanted a divorce. I acted surprised. I asked why. She said we were very different people. I was always busy with work. She wanted other things from life. The following Monday, divorce papers arrived. By courier. Very official. There was also a lawyer's note. From Sharon Mitchell, one of LA's most famous divorce attorneys. The note's content was clear. They were filing for divorce on behalf of Jessica Hamilton. They knew all my accounts, properties, and investments. I shouldn't even think about hiding assets. The first mediation meeting was terrible. Jessica, Sharon Mitchell, and I faced off with Patricia. Sharon Mitchell was a typical LA power lawyer. Chanel suit, perfect hair, cold eyes. She said her client wanted a reasonable settlement. The marriage had lasted 8 years. California was a community property state. Mrs. Hamilton was entitled to half the properties. Patricia was very calm. She said my client was also reasonable. Let's do asset disclosure. We spent the next 3 hours doing asset disclosure. House, $4.2 million. Business equity, $8.5 million. Investment accounts, $1.8 million. Cars, jewelry, everything. Sharon was very pleased. Total, $15.2 million. Mrs. Hamilton would get $7.6 million. Jessica wasn't speaking at all, but there were dollar signs in her eyes. I said we had a deal. I looked defeated. When the meeting ended, Jessica came to me. She said this wasn't personal. We just needed to go different ways. The settlement papers came 2 weeks later. Jessica would get half the assets. I would continue my life with the rest. I called Patricia. I said it was time. That day, Michael Chen and I activated the Future Family Trust. Legally, Jessica was the beneficiary, but since I was the trustee, I controlled the money. The day I signed the settlement, Jessica was very happy. She said everything had worked out. A week later, I learned Jessica had moved to a new apartment with Ryan. 2 weeks later, Patricia called me. She said Jessica's lawyer was asking questions about the trust. Jessica had applied for money access. She wanted to withdraw money from the trust. I learned that trustee approval was required, and I had rejected the approval. I laughed. For the first time in months, I genuinely laughed. Jessica called the next day. She asked what I was doing. She asked why there was money in the trust in her name, why I couldn't give access. Because I'm the trustee, Jessica. You're just the beneficiary. Silence. Long silence. How much money is there, Robert? $3.2 million. The phone dropped, literally dropped. She asked how this was possible. I said I'd established it after our wedding, for her, for our future family. She said half that money was hers. No, Jessica, you're the trust beneficiary, but I'm the trustee. If I don't give approval, you can't get a penny. Jessica called 5 times that day. Then Sharon Mitchell called. She said this trust business was very inappropriate. She said they'd go to court. They really went. They requested an emergency hearing. The judge examined the trust documents. Mrs. Hamilton, this trust is legally valid. Being a beneficiary doesn't mean access. The case was dismissed. That evening, Jessica came home. She looked very different, desperate. She said she needed this money. I asked if it was for her new life with Ryan. She apologized, said she'd made a mistake. The next day, I hired a private investigator. Marcus Webb, former cop. I told him to investigate Jessica's brother, Tom, and Ryan. 3 days later, Marcus came back. He'd learned Tom had a gambling problem, owed $150,000 in Vegas. Ryan had done similar things with several rich women. There was a pattern. He'd approach as a trainer, start an affair, encourage divorce. There was more. Tom and Ryan were in partnership. They'd formed an LLC, Lifestyle Consulting Services. They were doing consulting on targeting wealthy women. This wasn't just an affair anymore. This was organized crime. I called Jessica. I said she needed to talk with Tom. I told her Tom had gambling debts. Ryan was a professional. He'd done this to other women. She said she really didn't know. Tom had just introduced Ryan. The divorce was her idea, but Tom had encouraged it. I said I could report to the FBI. Fraud, conspiracy, racketeering. Very serious charges. She said she'd cooperate with Tom, tell everything. The next day, Jessica brought Tom. Her brother was very different now. Scared, desperate. He said this had gotten too big. They couldn't control it. He said he'd met Ryan in Vegas, had gambling debt. Ryan had suggested the plan. Target rich women, start affair, divorce, split money. Jessica hadn't known at first, but then when she saw the money, she got involved. I called Marcus Webb. I said Tom had confessed, find Ryan. 2 days later, Marcus called. Ryan was in San Diego, working with another victim, a plastic surgeon's wife. Ryan was arrested that week. Tom too. Fraud, conspiracy, wire fraud, federal charges. Jessica became a witness for the prosecution. She made an immunity deal. The trial lasted 6 months. Ryan got 8 years. Tom got 4 years. Justice was served. The final divorce papers were signed. Jessica got $7.6 million from the settlement. The trust remained untouched. Today, 2 years later, I'm in a very different place. A wonderful woman named Jennifer. Orthopedic surgeon, intelligent, kind, genuine. Jennifer and I got engaged last month. This time, it's very different. No secrets, no games, no hidden agenda. The future family trust still stands. $3.2 million with compound interest, it's become $3.8 million. Waiting for a real family. Next month, Jennifer and I are expecting a baby. The trust will finally find its true purpose. Sometimes I think, what would have happened if I hadn't established the trust? Would Jessica's plan have succeeded? Probably. But love sometimes protects in unexpected ways. That trust was established with love. Pure, naive love. But in the end, it saved me from vindictive betrayal. Jessica had thought of everything. Her lawyer was excellent. The plan was sophisticated. But the one thing they missed, genuine love sometimes has unexpected consequences. The ironic thing is, if Jessica had always known about the trust, she probably wouldn't have divorced me. She would have stayed with me for the $3.2 million. But greed blinded her. Jennifer is different. She loves me, not my wealth. When I told her about the trust, she said it was beautiful, that real love should be protected. Sometimes life's irony is amazing. What I did with love 8 years ago protected me from hate. Jessica's betrayal destroyed her own greed. The biggest revenge is sometimes just being prepared. And real love, when the time comes, always protects you.